Hello everyone, we're back with part 3 of our simple junk journal series, and this is my card with the fabric glued onto it. So what we're going to do next is cut the fabric down, and we're going to do it, I'm going to use 3/4 of an inch. So I've got a cutting mat, I've got a rotary cutter, and I've got this ruler. So I can line that up and get my edges pretty straight and cut 3/4 of an inch along. So I'm lining up the I'm doing 1/2 an inch actually, which is fine. 3/4 probably does give you a little bit more to play with, but this will be fine. So 1/2 an inch or 3/4 would be there. Silly me. We'll stick with this now. Rotary cutter makes it so much easier than trying to cut with scissors, or to cut fabric with a craft knife can be quite tricky as well. So there's our edges, and now we're going to fold the fabric over. But before I do that, I'm going to mitre the corners, and I'm cutting them off, leaving a little gap here, probably about 1/8 of an inch. It's not absolutely critical. You can see here the glue hasn't gone right to the corner. I could put a bit more glue under there, but I'm not going to worry too much about it because I'm going to be stitching round. So there's my cover ready to glue, and for this I'm going to do the long edges first, like this, and I'm just going to tease them over a little bit just to start with, just so that the folds are sort of ready to go. And I think you could use the PVA on here. I'm going to use fabric tack this time, just to stop it needing quite so long to dry, really. That's the reason for that, nothing more than that. And because this fabric tack, it dries quite quickly, so I'm only going to do one side at a time. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this over nice and tight against the edge of the card. This fabric is quite thin. Let's just see if I can get a bit more light on this. This fabric is quite thin, sort of medium weight, so it's holding down quite well. Thicker fabric, you might need to just you know, do this for a short time. Okay, so that's one side. I usually have a quick look, make sure it's looking good from that side as well. And again, I'm pulling it over nice and taut. So that's good. And now we do these edges, but we need to deal with the corners. And the idea of the corners is that you tuck this little section here in before you fold this over. it's a bit tricky with fabric. I'm going to show you briefly on, I've got some paper just attached to some chipboard, just so that I can give you an idea, so you can see what I'm aiming for. Oops. So if we glue over the edges, oh, it's glue. I'm not keen on this one, Bostik. Okay. So with paper, it's really quite easy to do. So I've folded in my long edges, if you like, and then I just want to fold this bit here in like this. So I'm pushing, it's a bit like a parcel really, I guess. So I'm pushing that in. And then when I fold over this bit, you end up with a really neat corner. So that's what we're aiming to do with the fabric. It is a little trickier with fabric because of it fraying. So what I do is go back to the fabric tack and put a little bit, I suppose, in each of these corners, and then, like I did for the long sides, just go down and plenty over here. So it's all going to be covered up, so it won't matter too much if you've got a little bit of glue here or there sticking out. And then I'm going to fold that corner in. It's a bit, you get it all over your fingers. And as you pull this over, you can usually just use your fingernail to tuck that corner down to make sure it's nice and neat. And then pull that edge against the edge of the card. Okay, it's fiddly, so take your time, and you should end up with some quite nice sharp corners. So let's do it again on this side. Little squidge in there, a little bit extra of a squidge in there. And then I'm going to squeeze that in and just hold it, and squeeze this end in and hold it. Sorry, I'm talking. And as I fold over, I'm just making sure that those fraying bits are sort of tucked in. Pulling it tight against the edge. So there we are. And again, I'm going to give this a little bit of time now to dry. See, I've got nice sharp corners. This is the front. I was going to use that as the front. And I did the other one as well in the same way. This is a thicker fabric, but I did it in exactly the same way, except I used the PVA on the long edges. So let's pop those under there to dry, and I'll be back soon with part 4, which will just be the stitching really. I don't particularly want to stitch through the PVA, so I am going to give it a bit of time to dry, and then I'll come back and do a really short video, and then we'll go on to the inside.